Hi, I'm JJ, and here we have our next episode of YouTube Developers Live. We have Vladimir Vuskovic down at the end, and we have two guests today, Kevin and Matt from Camcord. And later on, we're going to be talking with Jeffrey Posnick and Vladimir Vuskovic, who is PM for YouTube APIs. So we got a really full show today. Yadek, I remember at Google I/O we had one talk on gaming where we had Dude Perfect and the guy who created Tony Hawk 3 and like everyone else. And so I'm guessing that the goal today is to see how many people we could fit on the stage.
Yes, JJ, precisely. We are trying to hit the limit of how many people we can fit in the studio. We actually have a live audience today, so this is a shout out for people in the room that are actually helping us keep this energized. But the real purpose for today's live episode of our YouTube Developers Live is to show you an exciting piece of technology that is being developed by a company called Kamcord. And it really goes in line with one of the approaches that we discussed at Google I/O to solving the problems related to mobile video capture. So Camcord uses one of the approaches that involves local video capture and encoding, and they've been quite successful at that. I'm personally very excited about this approach and this technology, so I can't wait to ask a bunch of questions and then see a live demo. Since of course, this is a show for developers, so it wouldn't be valid without a demo. So I hope the demo is going to work, right? Of course. All right, so let's get into it. We have Kevin and Matt here, so maybe I'll start with you, Matt. So tell me a little bit about Camcord. What prompted you to start the company? Why mobile? And how did you guys actually arrive at the idea? How long have you been at it? Just give me a little background about you guys first, and then we'll drill into some of the technical details.
Yeah, sounds great. So Camcord is a mobile recording technology for games. And the reason we built the technology is that we are all gamers. We have three co-founders. And basically we were on our mobile phones a lot and playing these games. And we had these really awesome moments, but we weren't able to share them with our friends, our family, and others online. And we really felt that Camcord was a great way to capture a video of this content on the phone and then or tablet, and then be able to share that on YouTube and other social medium channels. And then what happened is we started reaching out to some of our friends that build mobile games and realized that game developers really have a distribution problem today. They have to try to somehow get on the charts, and the problem there is that can be very expensive for them. And we wanted to really create a way that allows a user to kind of promote that game on behalf of the game developer.
Cool. So I heard you used to work for Google. Did you have time to play games back when you were at Google, or is this you quit to play games? What's the story there?
I personally have always played games. I had three siblings that went to University of Michigan, and we lived about an hour and a half away. And I was about 8 years old, and we had a little 9-inch TV that we would put in our minivan, and I would play Madden football and all these different games while we were driving to to the university. And I've just always played games. My dad was a real estate developer, and we would play SimCity together. So that was, gaming has been a part of my life, from really the get-go. And mobile. Basically, what happened is, I personally became busier and busier in life, and just didn't have time to spend 3 hours playing a game. And when I was at Google, I would jump on the shuttle, and I'd have a few minutes here or there before I was, going to do email. And that mobile gaming lends itself very well to that type of experience where you only have 3 or 5 minutes while waiting in line for lunch, etc.
So tell me, say I'm a game developer and I'm developing a game using engine X. Like, what are my choices here? Is there technology that will allow me to address all the platforms? What's kind of the state of the art from your perspective? How does your solution fit into the overall puzzle?
Right. So when we started, with this idea, we started looking around and trying to figure out who else had addressed this and this problem of unlocking the content from the device. And we really didn't find another company that was creating a solution. We found other solutions, but they were kind of a no-go for the game developer to put in their actual game, primarily because it would slow down the gameplay. And so from day one, when Kevin started building the prototype, it was really a matter of thinking about how can we build this technology in a way that does not slow down the gameplay, because the user still wants to have a game that runs at 60 FPS and really can enjoy the game as they have always played it. But Camcord can now sit in the background basically recording and allowing and kind of seamlessly, passively recording the screens. The user doesn't really need to think about starting and stopping recording. It's just working behind the scenes for them.
Cool. So how about you give us a little demo?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to have our third co-founder, Adi, give us a demo here. Give this one moment to transition. All right. So we have a game here called Lost Robot. This game is currently in the App Store approval process, so it will be going live soon. And basically what you have to do is you have to help this robot get back home. And so what Adi's doing here is moving these little gates out of the way. And behind the scenes, what's going on is Camcord is just recording. You as a user don't really need to think about anything. And so this was just the really basic level. We just figured, we'd keep it really simple for this demo. And in the top left there is a button. And if you press that button, you'll be taken to the Camcord screen. And then on this Camcord screen, we have a replay button, so you can see exactly what you just did. I hope everyone's enjoying the elevator music. I guess it's a little more hip than elevator music. All right, so that's the end of the level again. So that's a replay of what you just did. And then we have these different, obviously, sharing functionality. So if you click the YouTube button, that will take you to the YouTube screen where you can share. And then the user can type in a message and hit share.
Cool. That's really neat. So it looks like it's very well integrated into the overall experience. So Kevin, tell me a little bit about what's kind of involved on the technical side. If I want to integrate this into my game, do I have to use a specific game engine? How about the YouTube uploading? What APIs do you guys use? How about the user authentication? Give us some background about all the pieces of the stack, how they fit together.
Right. So we have basically one SDK, one framework for iOS per game engine. So if you use a particular game engine, you'll download that framework, include it in your code basically. And the API that we offer is pretty simple. It's basically just start and stop recording. Mm-hmm. Because we just want to make APIs as simple as possible for developers. And basically, once you start and after you stop, if you want, make your own UI to show the video, or you can use the one that we show that comes with our software. So that's how basically if you want to get more than half of the value, if you just do that with just a couple lines of code, you'll get pretty far. In terms of the authentication with YouTube, we use GData. So we use the standard libraries, and you didn't see it in the demo, but we've already logged into our account before. Mm-hmm.
You guys using the GTM Auth2 controller?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That's right. Yeah.
Good answers. When people say I'm using client login on this show, we normally kick them out. Great. And then, are there any limitations? Like you mentioned that you're trying to implement the solution such that there's very little overhead and the frame rate is not affected.
Yeah.
Like, what's the catch? Is there a limited buffer size that you can actually capture gameplay video? How do you guys? What are the things that are limiting?
Right. So it's pretty neat. Like so, for example, on your iOS phone, like the native camera app, that will write all the video as it's being recorded live to the device disk. And that way it uses just a constant amount of RAM. So you can record for as long as you want, and we use that same tech basically.
I see. Cool.
Yeah.
And right now, you mentioned there's one engine supported today.
Yes, that engine is Coco Studio. We're planning to expand to more in the future. Yeah.
Great. Any plans to look into Android as well?
It's
Since we're at Google.
Yeah, that's definitely the plan. Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Really cool. So how do people get started with this? Like, if I'm building a Coco Studio game, where do I go? What do I need to sign? What's the process?
If you go to our site at camcord.com, kamcord.com, you can basically sign up for developer key, and after that, you can download the SDK documentation and get started right away.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Now JJ here, he's a very famous mobile gamer. So when will he be able to share his achievements with some of the apps that are coming?
Yeah, we have 13 games live on the App Store today, and we'll have about 25 live by the end of August, and we hope to have 100 by the end of the year, and just continue to grow the company into more and more games, more game engines, Android, etc.
Couple of other questions. Anything that surprised you while you were developing solution, like things that you were just not expecting that totally blew your mind? Like this question, for example.
I think one thing that was sort of funny was, as you're building a product in the early days, you sort of have your core competency, for which is making this recording very fast and seamless, and and we're trying to think of adding more features, etc., to the product, and those take time. It could be a little bit buggy, and what was really surprising for us was that as we were talking to our developers who were basically trying to use our software, what they told us was like the core of what you have is golden, and they were willing to work with us to fix kind of all the problems that they came across. When you're starting a company, you always you're trying to write software very fast, things always break. And we expected people to get kind of upset or frustrated at, as things, we roll a new feature, it works part of the time it breaks, right? But everyone's just been, they kind of just come back and ask you, here's a bug, here's a log report, if you fix this. And when we do, they're really happy.
Yeah, so sounds like a great community to work with. Like people actually supporting your effort as
it
opposed
really
to
is.
treating you as somebody who's trying to sell them something.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I think probably the number one thing that came to my mind when you asked the question was, our interactions with the developers has just been unbelievable. We had one guy that was at the hospital when his wife was giving birth. We've had two brothers that quit their jobs, and they're down in Guatemala designing this awesome game that's going to be coming out very, very soon. We've interacted with hundreds of developers now, and they all have a different story, a different motivation for building games, whether it just be for fun or financial gain, and just kind of getting to know these guys and their personalities, and has just been pretty cool.
Yeah, there have been a couple of times where it's like late on a Friday night, and we're about to kind of finish, and you get an email like, "Hey, Kevin's broken." There's guys from down in Guatemala, so we stayed up that morning till 7 a.m. just trying to fix the bugs. They're trying to release, so we got to support them. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything that surprised you with the YouTube API, like any areas where you felt like we fell flat or we could do better? Any tricky things, pieces of advice for future generations of YouTube API developers? Things that you think are tricky and kind of need some better explanation?
So the way we did it, mostly I just went to the sample code, copy paste as much as I could, and that actually worked well. It got me 90% of the way there, I would say.
Cool.
It was a little bit hard to find some documentation, I found. So it was mostly just kind of trial and error.
You think our search engine is not doing good enough? Showcasing
it got me to the right page, inside the page.
Wait a second, which search engine were you using?
Starts with a Y.
That could be the problem.
Cool.
I would say one thing more kind of at the product level is, having gaming today, we can do either recordings or live streaming, and I think live streaming could be a really interesting proposition in the future.
Directly from the mobile game.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a lot of crazy ideas about where we want to take Camcord in the future. But being able to basically, I imagine or I envision a world where a group of friends could go back home after school, and one of the guys is playing his game on his tablet, and all his friends could be in that room with him, watching, and it's just like a place for them to hang out after school. And I think that could be a really powerful thing to have a synchronous, connection. Now that said, mobile and tablets kind of lend themselves more to the asynchronous experience. But I think having the opportunity to experiment with those unique new types of entertainment experiences would be really interesting to us.
You think you're gonna have that working by next Google I/O?
Yeah, we'll definitely have it working.
Cool.
That's a year away.
I might take you up for that.
I know we have a lot of developers watching, and I just wonder if you guys had any, words of wisdoms for developers out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, if we try to be super hands-on when people have issues, and so providing us as many details as possible, stack traces, and just describing your problem, screenshots, even send us, a little, bit of your source code, calling us, Skyping, all of these different things, just basically trying to provide us as much information so that we can help solve the problems that you're running into.
Yeah, I would say we talk a lot with developers through email and a little bit through Skype. Skype is always the best, and we're always happy to jump on a call. And for email, just if you just tell us, tell us what the problem is and kind of what you need, even don't be afraid to ask us. Tell us this is what we need to launch. That makes our jobs easier actually. If you tell us your exact specs. So.
Cool. Yeah, the bug reports I normally get just say it doesn't work.
Yeah, we get a lot of that, and then it's you go back and we end up getting to where we need to be. But if we can short circuit there to that end state, it helps a ton.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much for giving us an intro to the technology and answering all the tough questions. We have a lot of content to cover in this hour, so I'm going to hand it over to JJ.
Yeah, and now we're going to talk. We're going to talk to Vladimir Vuskovic, product manager for YouTube APIs. And Vladimir, first of all, where are you, and what time is it?
Yeah, I'm in Zurich. It is 7:20 in the evening.
Great. Thanks for staying up and chatting with us. So, what you're working?
Actually, it is the 1st of August, so it's Swiss national holiday today.
Oh, it is?
In addition to that, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's Europe. That's
so
it's
everybody's partying.
It's it's Europe, though. There's a holiday every other day, as far as I could tell. So, Vladimir, what are you working on?
So currently we are really, really busy. We are working on a bunch of things. So we are the first thing on our mind is the new version of the YouTube API, the version 3, and so we are really busy trying to launch it publicly as soon as possible. In addition to that, we are working on a bunch of interesting things like exposing more of the partner features through the API, exposing the analytics data through the API. We are working on also exposing some of the newest YouTube features through the API. So we are really, really busy in this period.
Great. So a lot of people, aside from the people watching this show, when they think of YouTube, they don't necessarily think of APIs. And yet, Yadek and I see a lot of crazy apps built with the YouTube APIs. Can you tell me some of your favorite apps that you've seen built with YouTube APIs?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, the applications using the YouTube APIs are, the vastest possible span. So from websites to mobile apps Flipboard, to games, game consoles like PlayStation. So it's really hard to pick. Yeah, perhaps the ones that's most interesting to me is it spans even to robots, like the air drones. They are using the API to upload, the videos that they record while flying, and later upload to YouTube. So they have really cool channel as well. So this is something really, really cool.
Great.
It's perhaps my favorite one, like of the strange ones.
I like the air drone too. So if you look at YouTube, there's a lot of there's a lot of features on the site that aren't actually present in the API. Why is that, and how do you make the decision as to what goes into the API and what's only for the website?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, the lag between the features appearing on YouTube and being exposed to the API, it's mostly because on YouTube we launch stuff really, really fast and iterate on it, and so we need some time to stabilize the interface until we can decide, to give it out through the API. That's one thing. The other thing is resources. So the API team needs to keep up with all the development pace, and we are getting quite better in that. So one of the reasons that we are launching V3 is because it's going to enable us to shorten this period and to be quicker to catch up on the API side.
Yeah.
So this is something that we are working on hard, to reduce this lag as much as we can. Also, like one of the things that you can expect coming out soon that are available on the site and not in the API, for instance, are topics. So we are working hard to expose the topics through the API, and I expect that to be out relatively soon. I cannot commit on a date, but it's a matter of a month or two.
Yeah, I know that I've gone to, for instance, the player teams meeting, and those guys move so incredibly quickly. You never know what they're going to add, and yet on the API team, we have this amazing deprecation policy where we try really, really hard not to break apps. So does that have an impact on what you include in the API and how hesitant you are?
Absolutely. So we tend to include in the APIs things that we think reached a certain level of maturity, so that they are going to stay for a while. We are also, it's not mandatory because we can always expose stuff to the API and have an experimental API until we establish the interface. But in general, you're right. So this is one of the reasons that the API lags a bit.
Great.
But yeah, as I said before, this is going to improve.
Yeah. So when I think of product managers, I always have this exalted vision of them where there's this massive boat and they're steering the boat and they're trying not to run into things, and they have this vision of where they're going to go in the future. One question is, mobile is really big. How is mobile impacting your vision of the future right now?
Yeah, mobile is key for sure. So, mobile, the consumption of videos on mobile and, everything around mobile is just growing incredibly fastly. So we absolutely, put mobile at the center of our strategy. So one example for that is the recently launched YouTube Android Player API. I don't know if you guys seen that, but that's something that we really push forward, and we think that that this will enable a whole new generation of apps, and really fuel innovation in the ecosystem around videos.
Great. So not everyone is a content partner, but a few of the people in our audience are content partners, and sometimes they've talked to me about the fact that there's some things that you could do via our content management system that you can't do via the YouTube API. Are we going to be able to give them an API to do some of those things in the future?
Okay, so until now, the only way partners could interact programmatically with YouTube was through what we call ingestion. So through XML feeds that they would need to submit over SFTP to us, and then we would process those feeds and interact with the content management system. And so now we are trying to make this a bit better. So we are working hard on launching the partner API, and that are going to be very much similar and bound to the V3 YouTube API, and that will enable exactly that kind of interaction as you mentioned before. So basically interacting with the CMS and doing the same kind of things that you are able to do today using the CMS UI, the content management system UI, or this ingestion XML feeds. So we are in the trusted testers phase now, and we are trusting the first alpha version. We are testing the first alpha version of those partner APIs, and we are really excited that this is going quite well. So this is also something that we expect to launch relatively soon. In addition to that, we are also working on other partner features like the branding API, which just launched recently, to allow partners to brand the channels through the API, or the analytics API, to get your analytics through the API and analyze them yourself. So there is a lot of effort around exposing more information to partners through the API.
Great. Now, I know looking at the roadmap every quarter, I'm always amazed at how many things the YouTube API team is working on. I just can't imagine how you could not get pulled in every direction at the same time. What are the things that you guys are working on that you're most excited about?
Yeah, it's really a hard one. So I'm really excited about the V3, really excited. So I'm looking forward to that. Another thing that we recently launched that I'm really excited about is the YouTube upload widget. So that's something that I really like a lot. So it basically enables developers to put through a simple iframe, a piece of YouTube on their site, and then enable their users to upload videos either through webcam or by selecting files directly from to YouTube directly from their website without leaving it, right? And we offer, along with it, we offer a set of JavaScript API to have better control of and listen to events and things like this. So I was really excited about that launch that happened recently.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. The webcam widget's probably my favorite new API. So I agree, that's really exciting.
I have one question for Vlad. Hey Vlad, so I am told that you have PhD in robotics.
Yeah, that's true.
So the question is, how does one with PhD in robotics become a YouTube product manager? And do you have any pieces of advice for people that would like to become product managers at YouTube, at Google? What type of career trajectory they should pursue to become product managers?
Aside from getting a PhD in robotics and moving to Zurich?
Well, if that's the advice, then so be it. But I'm just curious to see how that kind of fits into your thinking.
Yeah, I think there are several paths to become a product manager at Google. So you can have entrepreneurial experience, for instance, or you can just be fresh out of university with good grades and join the APM program in Google. This is a very interesting path for new graduates or new PhDs. So I followed like a different path. I was after the PhD, I was working for a startup doing Java compilers. So it just happened. But gather as much experience as you can in several fields possibly, so that you can prove that you have an open mindset. That's I think it's really important.
Great. Do you have any more words of wisdom, before we wrap up?
Yeah, we can perhaps just mention the new V3 and some timelines around when we plan to launch it. So I think I was
afraid to ask you, but then of course everyone wants to know that question.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's asking that one. Yeah. So we are really working hard, and we think that we're going to be able to launch it in the next couple of months maximum.
Great. That'll be a nice day when there will be client libraries that will one client library to rule them all per language, of course.
I call that nirvana.
That'd be
another
pretty
thing
sweet.
that I just wanted to mention quickly is just want to apologize to those who applied to join the testing phase and haven't been selected, because currently the API is changing daily on a daily basis, so it's not stable enough to have a broad base of testers. But yeah, as said before, so the good news is we are launching soon the beta version to everybody.
Thanks a lot, Vladimir. Thanks for coming in on your holiday. We really appreciate it. Next up, we have Jeffrey Posnick, Developer Programs Engineer for YouTube APIs. everyone knows Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you have some special words of wisdom for us today or something like that. What are you going to talk to us about today?
Yeah, I think something like that probably is a good catch-all for what I wanted to share with everybody. I guess I wanted to give a little bit of an update on kind of what's been happening in the community in the past week. And one thing of note is a blog post that Yark made that went up this past Friday. And this is a blog post that is, 2 years in the making, maybe. We had a very, very long beta period for the Iframe YouTube player and the associated API. Well, I guess the associated API in particular. And we're now officially out of beta. This is something that people ask about on a daily basis in the Google groups and whatnot, but we definitely get kind of nervous developers who have seen the beta tag attached to the Iframe Player API in the past and said, hey, does this mean I really shouldn't be using it in my apps? I really don't want to publish something that might change at any time, that sort of thing. So that's all understood, and we had a few internal things we needed to take care of before we could remove that beta label. One of the things is alluded to in the blog post, and that was basically changing the names of some of the interfaces to the API. So if you pull up the post on our API blog.youtube.com, feel free to go and read it after watching this. You'll just basically note that we changed the name of one of the callback functions, and we actually changed the URL that you use to pull in the JavaScript for the player API. The reason we did that was to actually unify that API with the webcam or the upload widget API that Vlad was talking about earlier. So there's now actually only one JavaScript file that you need to pull in, and regardless of whether you're using the Iframe Player API and the upload widget, or you're just using one or the other, or if you're using both, you just have to pull in one file and you have one callback function when it's loaded. So now that we've made that change, we feel pretty confident that we're ready to make the Iframe Player API a fully supported API, subject to our normal deprecation policy and everything like that. And if you've been holding off on using it in any of your apps, please don't be nervous about it anymore.
Great. That's really good news. I know a lot of...
sorry, just one more thing. And because, it's not beta, that does not mean that we have yet achieved 100% feature parity with, let's say, the JavaScript player API. And, it doesn't mean that there will not occasionally be bugs, because, supported production products do have bugs every once in a while. But, we're going to continue to take all the feedback that we get from the developer community about new functionality and or bugs and address that as promptly as we can.
Great. I know that the Iframe API has been stable for a pretty long time, but I know that some people were worried about it just because of the the beta status. So this is good news, and I really like that API. So that's great. So I'm looking at moderator, and it doesn't look like we have any questions. That must mean that Jeffrey actually answered them before the talk. It actually is more effective.
There is actually an entry there, and I'm not sure if this is a comment or a question. Someone from Laos, new for me. So the way I think about this is this is they haven't actually seen the show before, where they can find more information. How can they keep up to date on what's happening in the YouTube API?
Yeah, well, we have two guests. How did you guys learn about the YouTube API?
We use your search engine.
You Googled for YouTube API? Yeah, that's pretty effective, actually.
But one comment is, this show is live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you go to developers.google.com/live, you will actually see the schedule. There's many other interesting broadcasts as well, and you can catch the past episodes of our Hangout on YouTube. So if you go to the Google Developers channel, search for YouTube there, you will find all the past events that you have missed. So you can catch up pretty quickly. It'll only take a few hours. We've been doing this for about a quarter.
Yeah.
And then you're welcome to join us every Wednesday from now on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you, Vladimir.
Sorry.
And go ahead.
Just to interrupt you for a second, to make our manager happy, because she definitely had asked us to do this, and to make me happy because we're always looking for more teammates. Basically, the YouTube developer relations team is looking to hire some new folks, and we wanted to encourage people who are watching to visit developers.google.com/jobs if you're interested in doing the same sort of thing that Yarick, JJ, and I do.
And we also have like a special guest. He's not mic'd up, but he's going to try to sneak in behind us and peek in the camera. This is Jeremy, our new developer advocate for YouTube APIs, and he's going to be helping out Yarick and I. So the team is growing, and we are answering more questions.
Okay.
Jeremy, welcome to the team.
Official welcome to the team.
So, handsome guy. So, and I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining, Vladimir and Jeffrey, and Camcord. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you.
guys.
Bye.